In a small village surrounded by mountains, there stood an ancient tree, tall, quiet, and overlooked by all. No one knew who planted it or why it stood alone at the edge of the village square. It had no fruit, no blossoms, just silent strength. Every morning, people passed it by without a glance. Children played around it, but never climbed it. Farmers rested beneath it, but never spoke of it. It was just there. But one boy, Aarav, noticed. Every day before school, he would stop by and place a hand on the tree's trunk. "Why do you stand so still?" he would whisper. "Don't you ever feel like giving up?" Of course, the tree never answered, but something about its quiet presence gave Aarav strength. He was a quiet boy, too, small, shy, and often ignored. He wasn't good at sports. He didn't stand out in class, but he had one gift. He never gave up. When he failed his math test, he didn't cry. He studied harder. When he was laughed at for stuttering during a presentation, he practiced in front of the mirror every night. When his friends stopped talking to him because he wasn't cool enough, he wrote poetry in his notebook and poured his heart into every word. Years passed, Aarav grew, but he never missed a morning with the tree. He'd talk to it like an old friend. "Still standing?" "Me too." And then came the storm, the strongest wind the village had seen in decades. Trees snapped, roofs flew, everything shook. When the sky cleared, people stepped out to see what remained. And there it was, the old tree still standing, its branches broken, its bark scarred, but it had held. The villagers gathered around it, amazed. How did this old thing survive when so many others fell? Aarav stepped forward quietly and said, "Because it never needed to be seen. It only needed to stay strong." The village planted flowers around it. Benches were built nearby. And for the first time, people sat not just under the tree, but with it. Years later, Aarav returned, not as a quiet boy, but as a best-selling author. In his hands was a book titled The Silent Tree, a story about quiet strength, resilience, and standing tall even when no one notices. He stood before the tree and smiled. "You never spoke a word, but you taught me everything."